Okay. It is 6:50 p.m. and I am calling the meeting of the Audit and Internal Controls Committee of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority to order. I will note that Mr. Petraka, Mr. Buren, and Mr. Barsky, and myself, who are the members of the committee, are present, as are the other two members of the board. That will have an effect on the board meeting later, because as we're sitting as the committee of the whole, we will not necessarily repeat anything in the board meeting, yet we will be voting on the same resolutions twice. So the discussion will likely all occur in the confines of the audit committee itself. Hopefully that's clear. We have an agenda and some action items to take. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our November 19th, 2015 meeting. Would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Made? Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And aye? Ayes all around. I vote aye, and the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is to go through the audited financial statements of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority. I'll also point out for the record that those are of the authority and not of Nassau County itself, although we do have the same auditor. We have a number of items on the agenda, some introductory materials, a resolution, etc. Is Carl going to handle that, Evan, or?
Yes, he will
through
go
it?
too.
So, Carl, would you like to walk us through the items? And I note that RSM, our auditors, are present as well, and will probably either walk us through some information or certainly be available to answer questions if we have any.
All right. Thank you and good evening. I prepared the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2015 with the assistance of Albrecht, Vigiano, and Zurich, our outside accountants. What remains at this point in time is the approval of the audit committee and then of the full board of directors, after which we can file the reports with the regulatory authorities. I'll let Scott Bassett, our engagement partner with RSM, take you through the financial statements in greater detail if you wish, but I'll summarize our results. Our net position improved by $144,972,000, which was primarily brought about by paying $143,585,000 worth of debt using sales tax receipts. This trend will continue as we withhold from sales tax to service our debt. Our net position is now negative $932,146,000 and will continue to decrease as we continue to reduce our outstanding debt, which was $921,606,000 at the end of last year. Items we encountered during the past audit engagement that are worth mentioning as we performed a refunding in 2015 that affected 3 outstanding bond series while issuing a 4th series in an amount smaller than the debt that we retired. We also implemented a new accounting requirement that affects reporting pension expense, and now all participants in the New York State local retirement system have to report their proportionate share of that plan's liability to its participants each year. In order to implement this accounting requirement, we restated our beginning net position by $7,000. I'd like to emphasize this is not an error correction, and that every governmental entity had to do the same thing with their financial statements this past fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions before asking Scott to join the discussion.
And just so on that last item, it was new rules, not new facts.
It's a new rule.
As opposed to other times when it's been new facts, not new rules.
Right.
So this is a good kind of restatement for our new accounting things.
That's correct.
Any questions for Carl on that? No. And just for the record, the board members and the members of the audit committee all had these materials well in advance, so our questions may be limited by the fact that we've read the information already and understand it from previous years. So with that, RSM.
I'd like Scott.
And while Scott's approaching the podium, I'd point out, Carl, you mentioned that we paid $140+ million of debt last year, and I believe we're scheduled to pay another $138 million
That's correct.
this year. And NIFA debt is county debt, so that just reduces the indebtedness of the county through the sales tax. So, okay.
Thank you, Carl. For the record, my name is Scott Bassett. I'm a partner with RSM. With me is Jen Katz. Jen Katz is a CPA and a manager with the firm, and she ran the day-to-day audit out at NIFA. The booklet we have in front of you is really some requirements that we as your independent auditors are required to give the committee under generally accepted auditing standards. Before I start that, one of the things that you hire us to do is to audit those financial statements under generally accepted auditing standards and the government auditing standards, and NIFA received a clean, unmodified opinion this year, which they have in the past, but that's pretty much what you hire us auditors to do, is go through the statements prepared by Carl, which we did. And I'll talk just a few bookkeeping materials we have to go through, and then if you have any detailed questions about the financial, I'll let Jen handle those, okay?
Thank you.
The booklet here really just talks about, turning to the 3rd page in, talks about really our responsibilities in delivering these statements to you this evening. Our responsibility is to audit these statements under generally accepted auditing standards as prescribed by the United States of America, in which we did. As I mentioned, the NIFA received an unmodified complete opinion in the current year.
Just to interrupt you, the term in the business is called an unqualified opinion, which sounds like a bad word, but it's a good word.
Yes.
It means without qualification as a
That's
fact.
correct.
So we're trying to use the right words so that people understand what occurred. So good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We had communicated our planned audit approach prior to starting the audit, and which we did. There was no changes in that approach as we assessed our risk and went through the audit process.
Okay.
We didn't encounter any significant accounting policies and procedures that were questionable. Carl did mention the one item regarding the adoption of the new accounting standard. Very immaterial impact on NIFA, $7,000, a small impact on the statements this year.
That's reflective of our literally handful of staff.
That's correct.
It
So,
drives a low number.
yeah, so not a big number at all. As we go through the audit, we've looked at any significant unusual audit adjustments. We did not encounter any as we went through that audit. We did have one reclassification entry that had to do with timing of an investment that was made on December 31st. It was just a reclassification between cash and investment, which we do mention here.
And it was booked, not unbooked, so it's reflected.
It's reflected,
Okay.
properly reflected in the statements.
Okay.
There were no uncorrected misstatements in the statements as we went through the audit. We did not encounter any disagreement with management. There were no significant issues discussed or any difficulties in performing the audit. With that, if you have any other detailed questions regarding the financials, I'll let Jen handle those. And the second part of this booklet is the representation letter,
Right.
which will get signed tonight once the statements are accepted, and that will issue the statements dated May 17, 2016.
So I have some questions that, not surprising, and I'll have to admit to the group that I'm a recovering audit partner. It's been 10 years since my last opinion. So I'm used to the questions, right? But you had full access to all records and people?
We have full access to everything. Everything we asked for was given to us in a timely and accurate manner.
Satisfactory answers and cooperation at all times?
All times.
And of course, you're aware that, and it's been a matter of public record from when we engaged you, that should that ever come a time when that's not the case, you have redress through the audit committee members or chair or any board member you'd like to
Absolutely.
contact.
We start that two-way communication in December when we issue our audit plan to the audit committee.
Great. And then my final question is, you referenced the representation letter. Is there anything unusual in the representation letter that should concern us because it's there?
No, sir.
It's a standard
letter,
representation
yes.
letter covering
No
typical
specific.
expected risks.
Exactly.
That's all I have. Any other questions? Well, in that case, I think we have a resolution to accept, which is, so the resolution in our packet, which is at item 2, is to receive and accept the independent auditor's report. With our thanks, by the way, I should thank you for your cooperation and the professionalism of your staff. We were able to interact at a few key points during the audit. And we do appreciate, last year was a transition year, so this was the first full year, and I think our staff appreciated the experience and spoke highly of your work as well.
Thank you very much.
Okay. With that, there's a resolution before us. Would somebody like to make it?
Move the resolution to accept the report.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes all around. The motion is passed, and thank you very much. Your report is accepted. Rep letter will get to you in due course.
Any questions by the full board?
Yeah, and of course, any other board members who are here, we can ask now in case the auditors would like to not be here for the next hour. Good?
No questions.
And you're dismissed.
Take all that off, but
very
thank you.
much. We got other stuff. Oh, also, I should ask, yeah, before you leave, do you, it was implied, but is there any need that you feel for us to have an executive session to which to adjourn, to have a private discussion?
Nothing that we'd have to communicate in executive session.
Gotcha.
Sure.
In that case, nice dinner.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. So that motion is passed, and we have other items beyond that, I think, Jeremy, to consider in the audit committee? Some annual?
Yeah, the next
Investment
item
report.
is annual report.
Right, so the next item is the annual report itself. Okay. Who's got that?
I
You.
do.
Evan, okay.
So NIFA is required to annually issue numerous reports pursuant to the NIFA Act, the Public Authorities Law, the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, and the Public Authorities Reform Act of 2009. The 2015 annual report is one such report and was provided to each of the directors in advance of the meeting. The report briefly discusses the structure, mission, accomplishments of the authority and accomplishments through December 31st, 2015. The annual report also contains a chronology of control period developments from 2011 through 2015, including the declaration of a fiscal crisis and imposition of a wage freeze in each of 2011, 12, 13, and 14, as well as the lifting of that freeze during 2014. It also includes a summary of key litigation. There are also a number of attachments to the report, in the back of the report, that must be filed annually for compliance with the aforementioned acts and laws. And as listed in your committee materials, these reports include, and if you look at the annual report, behind tab number 1, debt issuance report, audited financial statements, that will be inserted behind tab 2 of the annual report. Report on investments, tab 3, prompt payment report, which is tab 4. Procurement contracts guidelines is in tab 5. Property disposition report, tab 6. Mission statement and measurement report, tab 7, and the code of ethics. For completeness, we have also attached to the annual report the NIFA Act and NIFA's bylaws. Those are in tabs 9 and 10. The report and attachments are submitted for your review and recommendation that they be approved subsequent to this meeting by the full board. And if you'd like, I could briefly step through the report, or, you know, we've done these reports year after year.
I think I'll leave it to the members of the committee to ask any questions. Again, we've all had the large document to read for some time now. Not recommended for an iPhone, by the way. It's a bit voluminous for that, bad for the eyes. Any questions of Evan on the annual report? No? Unless you'd care to walk through that notwithstanding? We're ready to move.
No, that's
okay. So anything
this hour,
else?
that's okay.
Okay, you're okay. Anything else for us to consider before we take up that resolution? Those are the reports.
Not with respect to the annual report.
Okay.
We have more action items after that.
Good. And I think the resolution speaks to the annual report, which has items 1 through 8 in it. Do you need to go through those before, or those are already included in the annual report?
Those are in the annual report.
So that's what we're considering here. Okay.
Right.
So with that, would somebody like to move the resolution, the second resolution that was in our binder?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes all around. It passes. Anything from the non-members of the committee while we sit in committee?
No.
Okay. That passes. Next item.
Okay, the next item behind tab 4 of the audit committee materials, it contains the authority's investment guidelines. These guidelines govern NIFA's investments, including sales, monitoring, accounting, reporting, and internal controls by and of the authority. No new changes are recommended at this time. However, we're required to submit them for your approval by the board annually. So consequently, we recommend that these investment guidelines be accepted by this committee and then subsequently forwarded to the board for full approval.
And I see on the first page of that they've been reviewed and approved in sequence every year since 2003, presumably with a change or two here or there, but they've largely stuck to state law.
Correct.
So we are within state guidelines. Do we do anything less than state guidelines? Or it's at least, that's our floor. Okay, would somebody like to move the investment guidelines?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. That motion passes.
Okay, the next discussion is actually a discussion item, and Carl Dreyer will actually handle this one. It contains a schedule prepared by Carl that illustrates our NIFA's operating results, revenues and expenditures on a cash basis through April 30th.
This is tab 5?
Tab 5, it's the Excel spreadsheet.
And the lone takeaway from this report is that a third of the way through the fiscal year, we're at or below 1/3 of the approved budget at the beginning of the year. So if there's any questions at all?
I would just make note of the fact that part of that is the fact that the staff was able to negotiate very favorable rent terms upon our office move. And so our rent on a cash basis year to date is 0 because we've had a free rent period that we've been enjoying.
That's correct.
So that's a helpful fact. And that our control period expenses, which used to be largely for defending ourselves in litigation, are way less than a quarter of a year's worth, or even a third of a year's worth.
That's correct. And you know, there's very little in the way of activity right now,
Okay.
but that's not to say that there won't be more activity in the room.
You never know, but it's nice to not be digging out of a hole. So. Any questions for Carl on the budget versus actual reports? So it's a discussion item. We don't need to take any action on it, right?
Correct.
Other than to thank you for producing it and for the staff for producing the results that they reflect. Is that that's our agenda. Would somebody like to move to adjourn so that the Finance Committee can convene?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Mr. Lovenbach.
I'd like to call to order the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority Finance Committee meeting at 7:05 p.m. I take note that all of the members of the committee are present: John Buren, Paul Nunziato, Chairman Adam Barsky, and myself. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the September 22nd, 2015 meeting. And I trust that everybody's had a chance to review them. Are there any comments or questions about them? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
A motion to approve
Second,
the minutes.
please.
Second.
All in favor, please
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Please let the record show that the motion passed unanimously. Second item on our agenda is the consideration of issuance of general obligation bonds by Nassau County. Jeremy Wise, counsel to NIFA, is going to lead the discussion of that item.
So as you can see, you have before you a resolution concerning the issuance of general obligation bonds and notes by the county. Very briefly for the record, and in approximate form, I'm going to tell you what the amounts are and what their uses are. So you're approving $60 million of bonds for certiorari, $76 million for the issuance of general capital project bonds, $3.6 million for the issuance of bonds for sewer and stormwater projects, $35 million for bond anticipation notes in relation to the sewer and stormwater projects, and approximately $5 million to pay maturing bonds which were issued in connection with Sandy-related projects. They're also passing a resolution here concerning the issuance of premium for the county and allowing the county to issue up to $20 million in premium. In terms of the specific amounts and the projects, you have very detailed lists that have been put in front of you, and of course they've been published online and are available for the record. Yes.
Yeah, Jerry, quick question. There was a footnote in the presentation regarding the amount of bonds for capital projects. Can you elaborate on the footnote?
Well, what happened was the county had originally asked us for a larger amount. I believe it was $125 million.
101.
101.
120 million.
101.
And after negotiation with them and asking them to prioritize, they agreed to lower the amount to just over $76 million. But we are allowing the $76 million to be spent on any of the projects which are listed in the attachment, which add up to approximately $120 million. So, as always with the county, and I don't blame them, they ask for more, we negotiate down, and in this case, we've negotiated down to the meager sum of $76 million.
And
I
this
know
is
that
something
a
that's been-
member of the board who is present has an amendment that they wish to offer.
Sure. Although I think Adam was going to make a comment.
No, just saying, is this, do you have a tally of how much has accumulated in this type of
How much
reduction
we've
over
saved
time?
them by this kind of strong-arm negotiations? Not off the top of
It's
my
gotta be
head.
close to a
But
quarter
it's
billion.
bigger than a bread box.
It was
It's a
200
lot,
million
and
plus the last
and I
time.
will get you that number. I'm sorry. I don't
It was
have
over
it.
200 before, so.
It's,
Yeah.
It's a good question.
it is,
Yeah.
you know, many millions, but I just don't know.
Sure.
With
But I'll
that,
take credit for every dollar.
we should. With that, the chairman of the finance committee was going to allow me to make an amendment through him to this resolution in committee so that we don't have to make it in the full meeting. If that's, so I'd like to
Absolutely,
do that. And that is, there was some, in the second to last paragraph, the first that's titled resolve, there were some potential unintended consequences from the way it was worded, where it might have led to spending bond premiums on matters that might not have been acceptable to NIFA. And so we would strike in that paragraph from the word from in the third line to the word executive in the last line, and replace that with, so that it would be that any bond premiums would need to be spent in the same fiscal year to fund legal settlements other than termination pay or such other amounts as may be specifically approved by NIFA. That's the amendment that I proposed through the chair.
And I will
Committee.
make that amendment, but first I will just invite any other members who wish to comment on the amendment to do so. Hearing none, I move that amendment. Do I hear a second, please?
Second.
Any objections?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your consideration.
So now the protocol would be to vote on the entire piece as amended.
May I have a motion to approve the issuance of general obligation bonds by Nassau County as amended, please.
Moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Please let the record show that the bonds were approved unanimously as amended. The third item on our agenda is the consideration of issuance of revenue anticipation notes by Nassau County. Mr. Wise,
Just for the public, for those that don't know, the committee will pass these resolutions, we will pass, then the resolution and the materials in substantially similar form will go to the entire board and hopefully be passed by the entire board. So right now, in committee, we're just voting on them to see if they get out of committee. So the next item that we're voting on here is the issuance of revenue anticipation notes. The county wants to issue approximately $120 million in revenue anticipation notes. Obviously, these are issued in anticipation of tax revenues. They do it every year. We wish they didn't. It's not the sign of a necessarily healthy economy, but I must say that many entities do it because of the timing of tax receipts. So what you're being asked to do is vote on them raising this $120 million in revenue anticipation notes.
and this does not add to permanent debt, it merely allows the county to match the twice-a-year receipt of property taxes with the every month of payroll expenses that they experience.
Right. I mean, in
So
the
the expectation, these notes will be paid within the year.
Right, most notes are paid within a year. By definition, notes are usually a year or less. And as I say, some municipalities, because they're flush with cash, don't borrow this money. But if you don't have enough cash and you're running a close budget, you have to issue revenue anticipation notes.
Are there other questions by members of the
Yes, with the
committee?
increase in, that we've seen in sales taxes, can we anticipate that these RANs would go down in principal value? And that's an Evan question, or?
Would they be issuing a smaller amount next
Small
year?
right.
Historically, they've issued approximately, the head of budgeting for the county is here. Historically, you've issued approximately the same amount regardless of how sales taxes come in. Is that correct?
I'll turn it over to my county treasurer. This year, we're actually issuing the $120 million, which is $58 million less than we issued last year. So we've been reducing that.
Oh, it is, excuse me. I didn't realize it was that large last year.
And the maturity date is actually December 7th of 20, so it's a 6-month maturity. Instead of 9 months.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And what is the, what is the prevailing interest rate you expect?
Well, that's based on the market.
Well, where, if you did it today, what would it be, do you know?
I don't have those.
Okay.
I don't want to quote
I'm sure it's pretty low though.
it.
I would, personally, I would think it would probably be 2% or so.
Yeah.
I would expect half of that.
Yeah.
Further questions
Cheap
by
payday
members
loan.
of the, further questions by members of the committee?
Yeah, like, Evan, if you can comment, only because, Jeremy brought it up in terms of the economic comment that Jeremy brought up. Would you agree that this strategy, it's more of a function of the cash flow of receipts and less of the county projecting the total amount?
Well, I mean, this is clearly an instrument that they use as to manage their cash flow needs. Several years ago, Nassau County actually did not issue cash flow RANs, but it is not uncommon for municipalities to have these to smooth out the receipt of revenues.
My point is, what I'm trying to say is, someone may construe this strategy as something to make up for or to cover the shortfall based on a projected revenue that'll come in from tax receipts. That's not what this is. This is strictly to manage the timing of when those receipts come in.
Correct.
Further questions or comments?
Everyone from the
board?
audience is answering yes. So you have a unanimous
It's like a song with
yes.
bouncing
It's
ball.
time. Okay, Paul, anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. If there are no further questions or comments from the members of the committee or from the board members who are sitting here, I would ask for a motion to approve the revenue anticipation notes by Nassau County.
Motion to approve?
May I have a
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Please let the record show that the motion passed unanimously. Is there any further business for the Finance Committee? There being none, I would call for a motion to adjourn at 7:15.
Move to adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Please let the record show that the vote is unanimous.
Okay, we'll put on our other hats now. We'll move to the full board, the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority. Meeting is called to order, and we'll take up the first item, which is the approval of the minutes from April 1st, 2016. Are there any comments or suggested changes to the minutes?
I'll move for discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. The second item is the receipt and acceptance of the audited financial statements and related actions, which we've just recently been briefed on and heard.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll just for the record, for those who might be watching a replay, the audit committee met earlier, and the board was sitting as a committee of the whole, so all questions were asked and answered in that venue and context. And so I will move that we accept the resolution that's included in our package for accepting the independent auditor's report for our financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2015.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is accepted and approved and passed. The next item is the readoption or the approval of reports required by the NIFA Act, Public Authorities Law, Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, Public Authorities Reform Act 2010, and the authorization to take related actions. This we were also previously briefed on. If there are any further questions,
I'll move that resolution as well and
Sure.
make the same comment about the fact that this was considered in the earlier committee meeting in full with all questions asked and answered in that venue.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is accepted.
It would be inappropriate if you choose to lump all the other items together, if there's no dissenting votes, and take one vote, if you just read what they're all.
Sure.
So items 3 through 7.
4, 5, 6,
Four,
and 7.
5,
5,
6,
6,
and
and
7.
7.
Got it.
4, 5, 6, and 7, which are the readoption of the investment guidelines and taking of related actions, the readoption of procurement contract guidelines and taking of related actions, readoption of the property disposition contract guidelines and taking of related actions, and the readoption of the code of ethics and taking of related actions. So we consider all of these items in mass.
I'll move them as a block.
Move as a block.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, carries and it's accepted and approved. The next is a consideration of the issuance of general obligation bonds by Nassau County, which we've recently been briefed on and heard about. Any further comments or commentary?
So now this is the full adoption by the board, Mr. Chairman, and I assume that you are adopting it
As amended,
as amended
yes.
from the committee.
Right.
So if that is in fact the case, other than that amendment, there's no changes in the presentation that I would make to the full board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved and resolution passes. The next is the consideration issuance of revenue anticipation notes by Nassau County.
And once again, there are no changes from last time, although now I know that they're only being issued through December and that there are fewer notes being issued than last year.
Move.
So you can-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries and the resolution is approved. And the final item is the consideration of amended guidelines for reviewing Nassau County contracts. Jerry, do you want to speak on this?
I'd be happy to. There is one after that concerning law firms, just to remind
You
you.
have an 11 there.
Yep. Oh, I don't have it on mine.
Yeah.
So anyway, this concerns the amended guidelines which you passed in January. And as you know, implementation of these contract guidelines, which are required under the NIFA Act, have been postponed several times by the board. think your goal in originally passing the amendments to the guidelines was to help the county improve their contracting process. And since they were originally adopted, the county has taken certain steps to improve their contracting process, including the hiring of 2 professionals recently. Notwithstanding the fact that the county's made progress, I can tell you that staff constantly keeps working with the county and is pushing with the county in every way possible to improve their contracting process and to help them with their contracting process. But for official purposes and in terms of our contract, your contract guidelines, there's a change being proposed from the guidelines which were adopted in January. So the changes from the guidelines which were adopted in January are listed in your materials. But to summarize, you're passing the same guidelines you passed in January, except that you are eliminating from them donations from county committees and political clubs as something which has to be disclosed. You are eliminating from your form the requirement of fees paid to lobbyists, and you are removing from your form certifications from legislative leaders and the county executive. I should say, however, that the materials which are being submitted by the county have improved over this 6-month period. And for example, some of the items which we now get, if I can just briefly list them, are the consultants, contractors, and vendors disclosure form. We get business history forms, which include any relationships with county officials and conflict of interest. We get a principal questionnaire form. We get a summary of bid respondents from low to high bids. We get, if the vendor with the lowest bid did not get the contract, we get an explanation of why. We're also getting lobbying registration and disclosure form. And we're also getting company political contribution forms which explain contributions. So some of these, very honestly, the county had done before, but now they have been improved and they are being made part of our package, and we are at least in our own fashion reviewing them. So you're losing a little, but you gained a little, and we're continuing to monitor county.
But just to reiterate, Jerry, it's important, I guess, just to remind everyone that the last meeting, we did pass a resolution where we strongly encouraged and called on the county to improve their internal processes by hiring a commissioner of investigations and a chief contract compliance officer. And to the best of our knowledge, these positions have been announced and filled. I think as a board, we're happy to see that progress is being made in that area. Certainly was our expectation by the time we came to this meeting.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Jeremy, so if I listened to your list correctly, am I correct that the only thing, if we take this action, the only thing that's left of the January 6th procurement rule enhancements is that we get a list of the low bidders and why a low bidder wasn't suggested? Everything else is required by county law or ordinance.
I can't. My
All the other
answer
forms.
is, in general, many of the items which we are now receiving are required by county law, but we weren't requesting them before, or the county wasn't supplying
We
them.
might as well.
Now they are part of our formal process, and we are reviewing them.
This would just be essentially gutting it to the point of repealing it without repealing it.
Is that a statement or a question?
That's a statement. Sorry, I stopped asking questions a second ago.
I don't know if Maria, you have any other comments. Maria does most of the contract work, but in and of itself, you may be correct that that is the one single item which the county had not been giving us or had not been providing for themselves, which they are now providing to us.
Thank you.
To the best of my knowledge.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended guidelines in line with the resolution.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed?
No.
So noted. Motion carries, and the resolution is approved.
All right, so there is one last item which has been added to the agenda. The title is County Contracts with Law Firms. As you know, we've been admonishing the county over a long period of time not to enter into contracts with entities before NIFA had approved those contracts. And at this point, there are several law firms in particular who haven't been paid, and we are currently negotiating with them to see what fees we feel they are entitled to or the board is willing to give them. So this resolution delegates to the chairman of the authority the ability to continue those negotiations, and if we reach an appropriate settlement, to execute any settlements which we have with the law firms and/or the county, so that you won't have to be constantly, since there are a number of law firms, we won't constantly have to be coming back and forth to you for authorization. Any questions or comments?
Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's
Aye.
all that's on the agenda.
Okay, if there be no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. See you next month.
You weren't tweeting us. I was looking for us. That was great. You weren't tweeting.